Hello, I'm Chris Tackett. I'm the pianist of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, and welcome to my living room. Stick around after the postlude, and I'll tell you what I played.
Mother's Day Proclamation from 1870 by Julia Ward Howe. Arise then, women of this day.
Arise all women who have hearts.
Whether your baptism be that of water or of tears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies.
Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause.
Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity and mercy and patience.
We, women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own.
It says,
Disarm.
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 The sword is not the balance of justice.
Blood does not wipe out dishonor.
Nor violence indicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war,
Let's, women, now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council.
Let them meet first as women.
To bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other.
As to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
Each learning after his own time.
The sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. Our chalice lighting words this morning come from Reverend Audette Fulbright Fulson. Will you light your chalice or a candle nearby with me before I say these words? The days that come and carry away your spirit, your spark, bow down. Lay your head on the hard earth and let your brokenness join the death that is stirring there. Life rebels against death, takes the very dust of our bones and reweaves it into glory. But rest, you can. Decay and falling away from ourselves are part of that process. If you need to fall apart, then do. For life will hold you in that too. We'll teach you how to desiccate and blow away, and then we'll call you back from the four corners of the earth, and we'll renew you with the water of the tears of others who, like you, weep for all that is lost. She will breathe back into you the breath that washes from the mouths of children, laughing from the lion's roar, from the exhalation of trees. You will be reborn into the arms of beloveds.
Saguaro. So saguaro was born from a juicy fruit, red and pulpy. And when they were born, they were the size of poppy seeds, hidden in red jam, broken open into ruby crumbles, scattered by doves feeding their young in a nearby Palo Verde. And little saguaro grew up this way, unlikely in the shade of another. We need each other for shade. And it's a slow grow, inch by inch by inch. Desert life is slow like this. You do not see the growth right away, but you have to believe in it. It's there, it's happening. It takes 10 years for saguaro to grow 1 inch. And when you meet a saguaro who is your height, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, you are looking at a 60 or 70-year-old teenager. Saguaro only has their first flowers when they are 70 years old. So if you are nearing 70 and you feel like you're just beginning to bloom, just beginning to know yourself, just beginning to show yourself, you live in the right desert. Life is a long becoming. We take different times to burst into scene. We are nurtured by others for a long time before we emerge with flower crowns shining from the tops of our heads. The arm of saguaro, or a pup, must also be sheltered. Pups establish more easy if there's a little bit of shade, a little bit of nurture from a nearby tree. But even then, you only show that part of yourself when you are nearly 100 years old. 100 years old. Imagine giving yourself that much time to show yourself to the world. Imagine 100 years, getting 100 years before you have to pick your favorite color, pick your undergrad degree, decide if you want to raise children. 100 years. You see, saguaro is an intergenerational life maker. Each generation makes more room for the next. The young are sheltered by the old, and the old emerge from the shade of the young. That's how you live in a desert. Then, imagine, after all that time growing, after 100 years of living your life, your proud, tall crown of flowers and your wide sweeping arms, and suddenly a woodpecker shows up. And at first, she clings to your side and she begins to her work, and it seems small, and at first it's like an itch that you can't scratch, and at first it feels good until you realize she got kids. She wants to build her nest in your body. Wait a second. What would saguaro do? It takes so long to become yourself. What would you do? You see, saguaro lives like a circle of care. The one who takes time to become is the one from which something new is always becoming. Saguaro welcomes the chance to nurture as they were nurtured. But wait, you say, when those eggs have hatched and when those babies have made their jump and when the family flies away and never looks back, doesn't it hurt to be left behind, to be scarred like that, to be changed so unexpectedly? Saguaro says, stay open. The whole does not close in on itself like a bandage to a wound. They shine like invitations. Soon, bigger birds, owl, finch, martin, flycatcher, Goldilocks, and the three bears show up at the door and say, this home is just right. And there they are, making just a little more room in the side of that 150-year-old flesh of that warmest, nurturing being. So if you're a person in a desert and you're 8 years old or 12 years old, 30 or 70, 90 or 150, remember saguaro's wisdom. You are a long becoming. You are a long-awaited bloom. You were made by the shade of others. You are fruit and home for this world. If there is a hole in your heart, it is from this place that there is life.
The Lord is my shepherd. I have all I need. She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul. She rights my wrongs. She leads me in the path of good things. She fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our Mother and Daughter, and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
The Lanyard by Billy Collins White, former Poet Laureate of the United States. The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one more into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench, at a camp, by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift from my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard, or wear one if that's what you did with them, but that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand, again and again, until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education, and here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is a lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let the flower help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true
The poem I offer you today is called Let the Artists Win by Bob Janice Dillon. I vote we let the artists win. The ones covered in paint from their last attempt to smuggle across the beauty of a bowl of fruit. The 14-year-old rapper learning to spit, throwing life's chaos on the rhythm wheel, uncovering the shapes that live on after the next break. I vote we let the food bank volunteers win. The ones always carrying around their agendas for the meeting, waging campaigns to stock the shelves with bread. I would like to see the nurses extend their string of victories from the hospital beds to the nation's boardrooms until we care for each other as if death were inevitable and mercy was the only thing that made the rounds bearable. I say we let the kindergarten teachers win as they raise up small edifices for the beauty words will never capture or reveal. Maybe even let the helpless drunkard win sometimes as she cries into her beer that it's all too much. I will let the grandmothers win when they tell their old stories that hold me in their keeping. And the children yelling, play, play, the ones who have already cost us so much of our final productivity, the only tyrants who can command the true attention of the wise. I want them to win too, again and again, without pity. And then, when the men with guns come, we can say, I'm sorry, but whether you win or lose, it's never really been my game, sir. I have lost, and lost 1,000 wars of the heart, and those to whom I have waved the white flag, those to whom I have surrendered the whole and holy of my life, will never, never let me go.
I'm the Reverend Tina Squire, and today I'm sharing a poem created by your submissions. What I have learned from grief is that it appears like a thief to tear my body and heart apart. What I have learned from grief is that it wells up from the black hole of my being, washing over me in waves, threatening to drown me. It reminds me how deeply I love. Grief can make you tired. It lasts. I see it in the little things. But it is worse not to grieve. I have learned that when I walk away from grief, seeing family lost to me, I live in anger, a heart so hot it smolders over every ember of grief. Does facing grief make you a new kind of hero? Like Christopher Reeves, who gave up his cape but donned an unfailing positive attitude, lending strength to all who saw how easily he dealt with his physical struggle? Is it okay when the struggle is hard? You need to take time to question grief, to understand the sadness that causes it. If it is caused by loss of a person, it can't be replaced. If it is a bad feeling, a loss of confidence, a disappointment in people, it can be regained. It takes time. The way out of grief requires patience, and often I am not patient with patience. This takes time, but maybe I can accept it for what it is. When I accept grief, it becomes a steadfast guide. It draws me inward and helps me learn more about myself. By feeling the whole gamut of feelings, as painful as that is, the feelings of loss, the accompanying fear, the despair, but also the love, I have been strengthened and able to find new meaning in life. Love is still there. It isn't anger because you've stayed too close for too long. It is in that moment, that breath, and the calm response, "You can't run away, little guy. Can we set up a tent in the driveway together instead?" Sometimes anger is hard. It sneaks up on me in the night quickly, morphing into suffocating despair. I cannot breathe there, thus rendering it uninhabitable. I must hope. Hope is where I live and learn and love. On its wings, I fly into tomorrow. Slowly, over time, hope courted love, and love courted hope, and the two embraced, supporting each other, so that when I lost everything all over again, this time I knew how to sit with grief, living with him every day, until he gave me back my soul, my sight of the possibility of things. And now when anger knocks down my door, I let her blow through me like a hot summer gust that leaves me as soon as I say, "I'm sorry for my part in this." Hope is my fuel for resilience, and anger is not a useless emotion. It puts me in motion to work for what's fair, to speak for justice for the whole world. And grief leads us to allies outside of ourselves as well. Grief is less heavy when shared by those who understand, quietly, unknowing. Together in this place, do we find something sacred? Do we name the faith that is the glue that holds you, your pets, your family, your community, your world, and your garden together? Grow your own garden, even if it holds only stones. Pick up those smooth rocks, and even if your hopscotch grid stretches longer and longer, you remember the rules. Take a breath, take a fresh little leap, keep jumping forward, and then twirl around home.
I'm finding the refrain from the following punk rock song entitled "God Bless Our Dead Marines" really powerful at this moment. It's from a Canadian punk rock group that has a very long band name, the Silver Mount Zion Memorial Orchestra and Tra-La-La Band. But their song has this refrain in it. It's very simple. The words are, "When the world is sick, can't no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong." Would you please sing along with me as you catch the tune? When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful. But I dreamt we was all beautiful. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful. But I dreamt we was all beautiful. When the world is sick, can't no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong.
As you go forward into the days ahead, may the saguaro remind you that you are both nurtured by and nurturer of all that is good in our world. May the lanyards and the pasta necklaces and anything made with love remind you that the gift of life is priceless and treacherous some days. May your dreams be shaped by artists and teachers and nurses and others who wish to build that world you dream about. May you grieve well and fully in community with us, even and especially when grief gets hard. And may you stay healthy and connected and well with the world and yourself. Beloveds, you are beautiful and strong. Together, we are more beautiful and stronger.
Well, happy Mother's Day, everybody. This is all music that's either in honor of or a favorite of my mother. The prelude, like a lot of people who grew up in American Protestant Christian tradition, was everyone's mother or grandmother's favorite hymn in the garden. The interlude, under the lovely artwork, was a melody, a tune that I wrote for my mother's memorial service, but it stuck with me, and I keep playing it and using it, and most tellingly and most for my own heart, on Mother's Day. And that last one was, of course, the English country tune, Country Gardens, also one of my mother's favorite tunes, in an arrangement more or less inspired by George Shearing. So, thank you all. Happy Mother's Day.